And so, as we look at the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Antarctic Circle pyramids, in which in 2012 the United States Marines were seen parachuting down in front of, as they had their camera pointed out of the window down towards the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Antarctic Circle pyramids. When we connect the Antarctic Circle pyramid to ancient Judaism, black man faced upon a lion's body, in which we now see in front of the North African continent Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids. We must go back to the book of Genesis, black African continent, Step Pyramid E civilization of Ham. In other words, all of the 5 blocks stacked on top of one another that they form a step that you walk upon on the left and right side appears in Northeast Africa as the Step Pyramid of Saqqara and the Step Pyramid of Dosha. Then when we cross the Euphrates River from the Giza pyramids, we are entering into the Gaza Strip, or the Judean desert. In the Judean desert, we see ancient Canaanite. Another word for African in the book of Genesis is Ham, or Cush. Cush represents the Ethiopians. So all of the 12 African continent tribes, in which the book of Psalms 105th chapter and 23rd verse misrepresented, as they claim that someone else left Babylon and Jacob in Babylon and entered into ancient Egypt and started ancient Judaism. We now see that the same Step Pyramid E that appears in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area, in which supports the Golden Dome, is the same Step Pyramid E image in which appears around the stone Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure base area in Lalibela. Now this means that 5 blocks stacked on the left and right side, that they form a step that you walk upon. Okay, now you put another Step Pyramid upside down, so you connect 2 Step Pyramids at their bases. Now this gives us a north, south, east, and west geographic coordinate vector. As we rediscover that the Babylonian Step Pyramid E civilization of Ham, Step Pyramid not only appears in the Dome of the Rock outer wall area, in which supports the Golden Dome, as the Step Pyramid E, but as you look at the octagonal building structure outer wall area in Jerusalem, you see an entrance door that has a canopy over it. This is the lower octagonal building structure outer wall area. So the stone rectangular window frame next to the entrance door into the octagonal building structure called the Dome of the Rock, we see a stone rectangular window frame that has dual stone X's, like one stone X and another one right above, right below that. Now, if you write it on a blank sheet of paper, the dual stone X's, one below the other, they must be drawn in the thickness of your little finger. So the moment we draw a straight line down from the corners of the upper X so that they intersect the corners of the lower X on both sides, the resulting image generated is that of a stone Ethiopian cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela. This would explain the black square at the top of the octagonal building structure wall area that supports the Golden Dome. Now we see in the stone rectangular window frame in the center of the Step Pyramid E image, which represents the African continent in the book of Genesis, Step Pyramid E civilization of Ham, that started the ancient kingdoms of Babylon, Egypt, Akkad, Haran, where Abraham left and entered into Canaan. Remember, Canaan is black African Step Pyramid E civilizations, and as well as the whole Mesopotamian area, where we see ancient stone step pyramids. So as we go back to the brown square in the center of the Step Pyramid E and the overlapping brown cross, this was done purposely by the European Gentile nations during the 15th and 16th century to conceal the connection of Ethiopia and the black man's face on the lion's body, called the book of Genesis 49 chapter and 8 verse, couching Ethiopian lion things to the tribe of Judah. So as we reconcile the differences, okay, between the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Antarctic Circle pyramids that were seen in 2012 and placed on YouTube, and the 1, 2, 3 North African Giza pyramids, we will finally see that they conform unto the Dome of the Rock outer wall Step Pyramid E upon the octagonal building structure roof, where the wall is that supports the Golden Dome. So now, if we write that Step Pyramid E on the blank sheet of paper, that means 5 blocks stacked on the left and right side that they form a step that you walk upon. Then you turn one of those step pyramids upside down and connect both of them at the bases. Now we have north, south, east, and west coordinate vector. So when we look at the first 1, 2, 3 corners of the step pyramid, right, like you walk up 1, 2, 3 corners of a 5-block step pyramid, you get it? So now you turn those corners 1, 2, 3 steps sideways. Now you see 1, 2, 3 triangles of the African pyramids in Egypt. Now we go to the area view in an Arctic circle. We're going to see 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramids. So the way this plays out is that the North African Giza pyramids fits in the corner of the Dome of the Rock outer wall step pyramid E. Now remember, the same step pyramid appears in Ethiopia around the stone cross-shaped building structure in Lalibela base area. So this connects black man to Jerusalem and Ethiopia and the entire African continent step pyramid E civilization of Ham. But now when we connect the Dome of the Rock North African Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids to the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, Genesis 49 chapter 8 verse, what do we see? We see it's speaking of a black man called the Ethiopian Chaldean lion thinks to the tribe of Judah. It's the same black man's face we now see upon the lion's body in front of the North African Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramid. But it gets really deeper and really geographical. For instance, if you place the blue basketball-shaped earth at your feet and look down upon it, that's called the North Pole concentrically viewed Mercator map projection. So if you put the octagon roof of the holy building in Jerusalem called the Dome of the Rock, so we put this octagon around the blue basketball-shaped earth in which you're looking down at your feet at. Now this gives us an octagonal equatorial perimeter. Now we put the step pyramid E of the black man, or the African continent step pyramid E civilization of Ham, inside the octagon. What happens? Well, the center of the step pyramid in the octagon is the top of the blue basketball-shaped earth, which you're looking down upon at your feet. So that would be, put your finger directly at the top of the blue basketball-shaped earth. Now you're putting your finger directly in the center of the Dome of the Rock outer wall step pyramid E image of the African continent step pyramid E civilization of Ham. So as we look at the African black man facing on lion's body in front of the North African Isaiah 19:19 Giza pyramids, which is the real Ethiopian Chaldean lion thinks of ancient Judaism. Okay, but now we're going to find out that the 1, 2, 3 ice-covered Giza pyramid turns sideways, become the 1, 2, 3 steps of the step pyramid E corners. So now the 1, 2, 3 North African brown